Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of Sports Mecca. I'm Vrzal, and my dancing partner over here,
Nick Stokes.
And, of course, we're dancing right now because it is my favorite time of the year. It's March Madness, big dance tournament is going on right now.
Mm-hmm.
Nick, how's your bracket doing?
My bracket currently is busted, but there's still some hope because North Carolina still stands.
North Carolina still in. I still have Kansas in there, but I can tell you what, this is our producer's bracket.
Busted.
It's busted. It looks bad right now.
Busted.
Right now, we've got the top 3 games from the round of 32. Let's take a look at them as decided on by our crew.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3 right now, we have Wichita State, the Shockers, taking on the number 2 ranked Kentucky Wildcats. First half, here we go. It's Malik Monk trying to get it going for the Cats. Long 3, nothing but net. Cats take a 2-point lead, but that would not last long as Shamet passes down to Morris and go up, big man. Easy dunk, tied at 24. He is a great player. Second half we go. It's Willis from the corner. Also, nothing but net. Kentucky brings it in within 1, and then Shamet, he makes it look so easy. Booyah as he sends it through the net. Timeout, Kentucky. And then later, it's McDuffie trying to get him the lead, but it's blocked by Monk. Shockers forced to foul Monk, one of the best free throw shooters in the nation currently. He would go 2 for 2 from the line to stretch the lead to 3. Shockers need a 3 to tie it. Who do they look to? Shamet, of course. Shamet dancing around, trying to get it off, but it's blocked by Monk again. Kentucky avoids the upset. 65-62. They have a date with UCLA in the Sweet 16, and what a date it will be. Game number 2, Gamecocks, Blue Devils from Greensboro, South Carolina. Duke up by 7 late in the first half. That is Matt Jones at the end of the shot clock to give Duke a 10-point lead over the Gamecocks, and then it would be Jones again from even deeper from behind the arc. Blue Devils up by 10 again. Second half, here we go. Pass, steal by South Carolina. Pass down to Silva. Silva, nobody around, rattles the rim, brings the Gamecocks within 1, and then Grayson Allen down by 3, not giving up the shot and 1. Duke would take a timeout. Grayson Allen would go on to make that 3. Then it's Notice trying to stretch the lead. He does. Cox up by 7, and then Tatum trying to keep the Blue Devils alive for another 3, but that would prove to not be enough as South Carolina would pass it down to Mackey, and Mackey with the wide open dagger. Gamecocks upset Duke 88-81 for their first Sweet 16 berth in school history. And finally, the number 1 game from the round of 32, Wisconsin, defending champs, Villanova. Hart trying to get things going for the Wildcats. An easy 3, and he makes it look easy out there. And then it's going to be Hart again on the following play with the steal, with the fast break, wide open dunk. Cats trail by 3. Second half we go. It's going to be Brooks with the drive. Brooks draws the foul, and Brooks with the and 1. He would go to the line for 2. Nova up by 4. Later on in the game, Vichenio, that looks familiar from last year. He gives the Cats a 7-point lead. 5 minutes left. It's Hayes. Hayes driving in. He would start a 12-0 run for the Badgers, and it would only be fitting that he would end the run by giving Wisconsin the lead with 11.4 seconds left. Villanova would go down to miss their next shot, sending Brown to the free throw line. Brown needs to make both of them to seal the deal for the Badgers. Second shot on the way, rattles in and out, but a quick double. Villanova can't get a shot off, and that is it. There is no repeat this year for a national champion. Wisconsin beats Villanova 65-62. Your thoughts on that game?
Man, that game was a great game, to be honest with you. I think the player of the game that you got to give it up to is Bronson Koenig. Down the stretch, he shot 2 threes that sealed the deal on that 15-5 run at the end of the game, and it really was the game. Like, the game was over once he made those threes. I felt like the motivation for Villanova was gone, and also believe that their lack of bench depth, they only played 7 players throughout the entire game. And without having the bench to come in and provide valuable minutes, it kind of took a toll on the starters down the stretch, and they looked a bit tired. They were a little fatigued, and they needed that energy in order to win that game. How do you feel about it?
You know, when I look at the Villanova-Wisconsin game, that was one of the best games that we have seen in the tournament yet. And, they say that the team that turns the ball over less is going to win the game. Well, that didn't happen. Wisconsin had 14 turnovers, Villanova with 8. So, it was really surprising. But did I expect Wisconsin to go out there and beat them? No, obviously not. Hardly anybody in the country picked Wisconsin to win. But Wisconsin's one of those really scrappy teams that could always change the impact of a tournament with one game. Now, in the game that, in my opinion, more people are talking about, even though it wasn't as big of an upset, was Duke, South Carolina.
Okay.
Duke came in and they were the favorites. Vegas had them winning it, had the best odds of winning it. ACC tournament champs, they were favored. Do you think that, with the way that South Carolina played that game, that they could possibly make a run for the Final Four?
South Carolina does have a lot of motivation going into this next Sweet 16 game against who are they playing? Baylor. Florida.
Florida. They're playing. No, they were playing
Baylor. 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 I don't think they'll get past Baylor though, which we'll get into later, especially with our pick them at the end of this segment.
We got some picks later.
However, I think South Carolina does have a chance, but I don't think it's really too prominent. I do believe that they ran into a Duke team that is overrated. Duke, it's a great franchise, but their roster this year, I don't believe really ever had a chance to go very deep in this tournament, and that's why they were out on the second round, or the round of 32.
You got to give props to South Carolina's Chris Silva, though.
No, you got to.
17 points, 10 rebounds, shot 50% from the floor to add to his double-double. He was the difference maker in that game. He was really big in the paint.
Yeah.
He drove to the basket, and he made plays happen for South Carolina that kept them in it. And then one of the biggest shockers was Xavier putting the hurt to the number 3 ranked Seminoles of Florida State. That game hurt a little bit. I got a little pride in Florida State. My brother went there, and watching Xavier just tear them apart.
Won by 25.
It was bad. It was a bad game.
Oh, man, I'm going to be honest with you. Trayvon blew it, 29 points. Had also another 50% from the field guy, and also put up 5 rebounds and 3 assists. He had a great overall game against a Florida State team. And that Florida State team just didn't see the Xavier team as a great competition or opposition. And I think they really undermined their opponent's ability. And that's the reason why Florida State is no longer dancing in this March Madness tournament.
Florida State they were a very inconsistent team throughout the entire year. They would go on the road into Gainesville and beat Florida, but then turn right around and go play NC State at home and get waxed.
Yeah.
So, Florida State was one of those teams that picking them through the tournament, you had to realize that they were inconsistent. Dwayne Bacon had 20 points.
Yeah.
And after the game, he said, I didn't play as well as I could have.
Yeah. And he's a great kid, too. And I do understand what he's saying, because you are always going to feel like you could have gave a lot more. However, I believe that the shame should not be placed on Dwayne Bacon. It should be placed on his teammates. His teammates have to step up. Everyone has to pitch in. You can't just be one guy who goes out there and win the game. Basketball has always been a team sport and always will be.
Well, not only that, along with that game as well, Florida State got outcoached. Chris Mack got his team to the Sweet 16 for the 4th time since he's been there.
Yeah.
They were just outcoached.
Yeah.
All the plays that Xavier was running, and just Florida State did not have an answer for him. That game definitely surprised a lot of people. One more game, let's talk about it. It was on the reel. Wichita State, Kentucky.
Okay.
What are you thinking about that game?
Wichita State, Kentucky. I really wish Malik Monk didn't block those 2 last shots, those 2 crucial shots at the end. I at least wanted to see if he was gonna make them or not. But however, Wichita State put up a great fight against that Kentucky team. Obviously, they were underseeded in this tournament, because it's a great team, and it has been a great team for the past 3 or 4 years. I just believe that Wichita State next year they might make a long run into this tournament. You got Shamit, I believe that's his name.
Sure.
Yeah, Shamit. He's a great point guard. Made some great critical plays when his team needed them the most. And that team has a lot of potential coming towards next year. How do you feel about that game, though?
I'm gonna be getting a lot of hate mail from the Big Blue Nation after saying this. Kentucky is overrated. They are overrated. They are the most overrated team in the tournament. The fact that they got a 2 seed was a blessing because they won the SEC championship. They are overrated. I do not think that they are going to stand a chance against UCLA.
Okay.
I had Wichita State beating Kentucky, and if it weren't for those 2 shots, I would have been right.
Okay.
But, they may be overrated, but Malik Monk is something else.
Yeah, Malik Monk is great, but however, let's get into these predictions.
Let's pick the Sweet 16 so we can bite each other's heads off.
Yeah, let's talk about this real quick. First game on our agenda: Kansas Purdue. Who do you got, man?
I've got Kansas winning it. I think Kansas has just got too much talent, and Purdue I do not think they're going to be able to hang with them. Kansas, they've been blowing teams out of the water ever since losing to TCU, and I don't think Purdue can hang with them.
I honestly agree with you. I think the Boilermakers need to stick to making boil. I don't think they're going to get this win against the Jayhawks. Let's go ahead and move to the next game. Oregon, Michigan. Who you got this game, man?
I've got the upset. Michigan's been playing really well. They took it to Louisville, and I think the Wolverines are going to pull off another upset come time when they play the Ducks.
Okay, well, you know what? I'm going to go opposite of what you went. I'm going to go with Oregon, 3-seed Oregon. I think Dylan Brooks is going to have a great game. I honestly believe that he's going to show up when the time calls for him. I believe that his explosiveness off the wing is going to be something that Michigan may not be able to defend.
That's if he shows up, though. We've seen in the past that he is a very selfish player, and he's going to start forcing shots if Michigan can get on him.
This is true.
North Carolina Butler, who you got?
UNC all day. Let's go Tar Heels.
UNC is just they're too good. they are too good for Butler.
Yeah, and way too good. Way too
good. All right.
But hey, hopefully our bracket doesn't get busted
as bad as Will Downing's did.
Yeah.
Kentucky, UCLA. You already know my thoughts about it. Your thoughts?
I'm going with you. UCLA, man. Lonzo Ball, he really makes his whole team better. I've literally witnessed him pass the ball to everyone, and they just miraculously make plays for their team. I don't see Kentucky really maintaining any consistency against that team. How about you?
UCLA beats them by double digits. I turn it off midway through the second half and watch Game of Thrones.
Oh, double digits. Okay, that's a strong prediction. And with that prediction, I think that's a perfect time to go to commercial break. We'll see y'all in a minute.